Hello everyone. So in this video, we'll be discussing the guidelines for variable naming in Python. So let's look at the 7 important rules and conventions for naming variables. So the first one, use snake case when naming variables. So you guys already know what's a variable. So variable is like a storage where you are saving a value. For example, we can say a equal to 10, right? So let me first paste that here. So number one, use snake case when naming a variable. So let's say I want to store a player score. Okay, so I'm creating a game. I want to store the player's score. So I can say player score equal to 1. You can see the way I named this, I wrote player, all lowercase, then an underscore, and then the second word score. So this way of naming is called snake case. Okay, you can have more words. Before the next word, you will have to use underscore. Okay, for example, you can say player, score, underscore, final, something like this. So this way of naming is called snake case. So that's the first rule that we will try to follow. Again, this is not a rule, actually, it's like a more like a convention that you should follow, because if I say a equals to 10, the code will still work. It's just a convention that we follow. Okay, number two, avoid spaces between words in variables name. So when you're learning Python for the first time, you may create a variable by mistake using spaces, and that will give you an error. For example, if I say player score equal to 5. As you can see, this is red because you can't have two separate words to create a variable. A variable name should be only one word. So you can say player underscore score. So this is a valid way of naming a variable. So again, avoid spaces between words and variable names. Let's look at the third one. Number 3, choose meaningful and descriptive names for variables. So when you create a variable, you should use a meaningful name so that when some people are looking at your code, they understand what's going on or what is the purpose of this variable. For example, let's say if you create a variable X, and let's say you're saying $2. Now I don't understand that this is $2, but what is that X? Is that price of something, but price of what? So instead of using X, you should use a meaningful name. For example, you can say Kit Kat price $2. So if you look at the difference between this one, doesn't have any meaning. X doesn't mean anything, but if you use Kit Kat price $2, this makes sense. If someone is looking at your code, they understand that, okay, you're talking about $2 for the Kit Kat. So make more sense. So choose meaningful and descriptive names for variables. Again, if you just say X equal to $2, the code is not going to be incorrect. Still, the code will work. It just makes more sense to use a meaningful name. All right, let's look at the next one. Ensure variable's name do not begin with a digit. So let's look at the fourth rule. First, let's paste this. So when you are naming a variable, you can say, like, for example, x1 is equal to 5. That's okay. You can do that, but you cannot do 1x equal to 10. This is not allowed. You can't start a variable name with a number or digit. It must start with the letter. After the first letter, you can have digits. Okay, so we cannot start with the digit. So this is number 4. Let's look at the next one, number 5. Remember that variable names are case sensitive. Another common mistakes is that when you create a variable, you have to be careful. For example, you said Kit Kat price is $2. and let's say you want to print it. So I'm going to say print KitKat price. Now you'll notice that this is incorrect. It shows red. So usually when you first look at it, you may not notice what's wrong here. It looks like, okay, this is KitKat price, this is KitKat price. They look the same. However, if you notice the P is written in uppercase, this is in lowercase. So this means this is a completely different variable which doesn't even exist in your code, which is why this is red. You can see that it says undefined name KitKat price because you don't even have a variable called KitKat price with P uppercase. You have one with P lowercase. So if you run your code, it will get an error. It will say that this is a name error because you don't have this name. And you can see Python gives you a suggestion that do you really mean KitKat price with the lowercase p, because it notices that there is a variable with lowercase p. Okay, so the next rule is you have to make sure that the variable names are case sensitive. So since you're using snake case, all the letters should be lowercase and you should not have any uppercase when you're printing or accessing the variable. Number 6, steer clear of Python reserved keywords when naming variables. So Python has some reserved keywords and we can't use those names to create a variable. If you do that, you will get an error. For example, if you create a variable, let's say, let me first copy that here. And I'm gonna say in equal to 4. You can see it gives us an error. Okay, because this is a Python word and you can't use that word to create a variable. For example, let's look at another one. Say pass equal to 5. You can't use in pass because you can see there are different colors. These are Python words and you can't use these reserved keywords to name a variable. So these are not allowed. Okay, there are other keywords too. So when you see the color changes and gives you a red indication, you know that these are Python keywords, even if you don't know all of them. If the code doesn't work, it is possible that you may have used a Python reserved keyword. All right, number 7, the last one, refrain from using special characters like dash, comma, hashtag, or asterisk in variable names. So you can't use these special characters when you are creating a variable. So for example, if I create a variable, let's say a dollar b equal to 10. I can't do this. You can see that this is red. So you can't use a dollar sign, a special character. You can use the underscore, only the underscore special character is allowed. Other characters are not allowed. You cannot use a dash, so give you an error. You cannot use a comma, will give you an error. You cannot use hashtag, will give you an error. You cannot use star, will give you an error. Okay. So when you are creating variables, you should refrain using the special characters except the underscore, which is used because in snake case, we use that underscore. So these are the 7 rules, conventions that you should follow when you are creating variables in Python. So hopefully this makes sense. Thank you for watching, guys. Bye.